Hey Alpha Fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today I just see a lot of red on the board. I'm not sure what it is, but obviously today is a red day, not a green day. And we do see these dips just all across the board. Everything is red. Not sure why that is because in fact, if you take a look at stocks, it's fairly green today. We do have, just a little bit of a dip on the Nasdaq, but nothing too serious. Nothing too serious. We're just kind of consolidating in a higher high than our previous high, which is, kind of good to be honest. The Nasdaq is following this pattern that I just LARPed like a long time ago. I actually drew this back in January, and somehow it just has been following these LARP lines, and now who knows? I guess maybe if it continues to follow it, May is not going to be a great month for the stock market. Let's see if this was prescient or not. But yeah, we are making the cup that I assumed that we would be making on the Nasdaq. And Bitcoin and crypto have just followed that path of the NASDAQ. So we cannot say that Bitcoin and crypto are detached from the stock market or that they're hedges against the economy, that sort of thing. They follow the economy, the stock market, to a T. And of course, Bitcoin and crypto are basically traded like almost like tech meme stocks, to be honest, with a high volatility, and they just haven't firmly gotten their independence yet. We all look forward to that day, but we're just not there yet. In case of the Russell, which is probably the more riskier, one of the more riskier indexes here. It's chugging along. Yeah, it's meeting resistance, but it's in a pretty safe zone from just falling to hell. So it's finding support, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Could it fall back down? Could it retest this breakout? Maybe. Looks like it already has. So I'm not going to be too worried about this. It is one of the more risky indices, and so we're just going to just not pay too much attention to the Russell there. Again, this is the Russell. If we look at the Dow Jones, we've safely gathered support, in this safe zone that I pointed out, where we were in this kind of danger zone down here, where we could easily, have a major correction. And it just, turns out that we completely avoided that. So we completely avoided that. We look fairly strong on the Dow Jones, if you ask me. And maybe we're saving the pain for later. Sometimes we get these dips and then we chug along and then we get a major dip later. So maybe in a half a year, maybe in a couple months, maybe next year, we have a major correction. I don't know, but it doesn't look like it's happening right now, right? That's for sure. In case of the S&P 500, we've been following these, we followed this all the way down, finding all of these supports, determining what's critical support, and we ended up reclaiming the critical support. Not only did we reclaim the critical support, but we have reclaimed bullish support. So I'm not sure what's going on in the stock market, if this is just, retail consumers trying to buy stocks cheap, but this has been an incredible rally. And if you look at prices right now, it doesn't look like it wants to stop. This does not look like a market that wants to just turn around. It looks like we've got a little bit more to squeeze out of this, and and I almost wouldn't be surprised if we return to all-time highs in the stock market, perhaps before May, and then whatever the Federal Reserve decides to do, that could derail it. But I am not bearish right now on the stock market. Pardon me, just getting a sip of coffee. But and if we're not bearish on the stock market, then how can we be bearish on crypto? because a lot of crypto depends on the support, the stability of the stock market, and this thing has just been on fire. In fact, there have been so many stocks like Tesla, which you kind of would wish that you would have been in, right? How much did this increase by? 60%. There are some cryptos that haven't increased by 60%. Does this look bearish to you? Like something's going on here. I mean, obviously, maybe we're coming to this point where the market is getting overheated, and whether or not we end up turning around in May, or if we can put in new all-time highs, I don't know. Something's going on. It doesn't have to do with free money, but yeah, the powers that be have decided to squeak out a little bit more profit from this market before they do a bigger correction. And so here we are. But I would also point out that the jobs market, the economy of the US is incredibly strong right now. There's a misperception that Biden's economy is weak. It's actually incredibly strong. This is probably one of the stronger economies that the US has had. Although we do have yield curve inversions, which typically have signaled recessions coming up, in the past, that may be as much as a year away. And in fact, they can become avoidable. So while we want to keep the yield curve inversion on the table in terms of concerns, it doesn't necessarily need to drive us. And let's say that the war in Ukraine eventually meets settlement, and that the Fed kind of just has, the basic policies that we expect them to go forward with. And then the rest of the market just continues to be as strong as it is because it is very strong. Then slowly inflation will decrease and the rest of the strength of the market will come forward. And who knows, maybe this joyride is going to continue. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Would I expect some type of dip in May if the Fed does decide to be aggressive and do a double interest rate hike? Yeah, I would probably expect some type of pullback. After this kind of a boom, I would expect a pullback. You can't have this type of exuberance without some type of pullback, okay? Like something is going on. But again, we are finding this support, right? We're finding this support. And although, we are coming to a point where, maybe we could think about it like this, and perhaps, some of these markets, are gonna break down. Just they're finding good support. Okay, I don't know how else to say it. They're finding good support. I don't know what crypto is freaked out about today, except that perhaps Bitcoin is testing its support. But a lot of these stocks have tested support and they're actually bouncing off of it pretty well. Again, the S&P 500. And then, yeah, so we've basically checked this out, right? And again, look at this. These are bullish. These are bullish retracements, right? This was a clear breakout, and then a bullish retracement off of this diagonal. So, and then it's and right on support. I mean, what more could you want from the Nasdaq? Like, what more could you want? This was incredible, to be honest. It's incredible, and maybe we could, you can see like these type of patterns in the past. What you can expect is some consolidation after that. So how long did this consolidation take? From November all the way to January, right? How long did this take? Uh, from July all the way to October. So it could be a couple months of relative health and stability with some ups and downs, but relative health and stability for maybe a couple months. And I'm not going to bet against that right now. I'm not going to bet against that right now. But let's go ahead and take a look again at the Bitcoin chart. because what we do have here is a pattern of pullbacks. And you can see all the way back here, we've had this pattern where, you know, Bitcoin gets into a bullish, a bullish run, and then what does it have? A 20% pullback. After the pullback, what does it have? A little bullish run, 20% pullback, little bullish run, 20% pullback, little bullish run, 25% pullback. This was almost 25%. Bullish run, 25% pullback. Bullish run, 20% pullback. Bullish run, 20% pullback. I hope I'm making that clear that this is very possible, and I think that's what's freaking out the market. However, we do have this support up here and we haven't violated it yet. Yesterday in my Kadena video, I was talking about how we can't violate these price points, somewhere around 45,500. We are getting very close to that, and this is, a bearish engulfing candle, pretty much. But we also have this bottom line at 44,250 approximately. And so I'm not going to get worried until another $100 or so down, which we're getting pretty close. We're getting pretty close. And then I'm going to be, kind of sizing up my positions, deciding what I want to do. Maybe taking a little extra profit off the table, de-risking a little bit, putting in, tighter stop losses. And, this 44,250 here. If we break that, I'm just all out. Just all out. Gonna see where we fall to. But if we just play around in this area, a little bit of a wick. We've wicked here before. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. You can see sometimes we get these wicks, on our lows. Sometimes we get these wicks on our lows. It's not the end of the world, right? Like this thing would be red while it's wicking down here, but then it can turn, into a green candle, as it pumps back up. So the stock market's looking pretty healthy, and I'm not really sure what the crypto market is freaked out about. We are at, support, and as long as we don't break this region, I'm not going to be too worried, okay? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this video. Just maybe touch base on a couple of the coins that we had been talking about, Kadena and Corrado. So as I said, we were getting into this wedge, possibility to squeeze to the upside. I didn't want to call it too early because I knew that Bitcoin has to retest its support. Right? We bullishly broke through that resistance, and then Bitcoin's retesting its support, and it has that 20% fall danger. And so I said, go ahead and take your profits in those zones. Right? So this is kind of the take profit zone, which we wicked up there. You could have taken your profit on Kadena, as soon as we started to turn around, or if we made our way back up. This isn't like God talking or anything. This is just a concept. I think I just loosely slapped that on. And same thing here. We dip down here. You could have rebought, and we're dipping back down into this DCA area. If a Bitcoin does end up being bullish, this is the pullback that I was talking about. I was saying like if I was going to keep my sell boxes in this region, and if we have a pullback, we're starting to flip this area because we're now on the curve. We're flipping this area into a buy area. This buy area gets higher and higher as the curve goes up. And then our stop loss is down here now, right? So the buy area becomes your stop loss. Well, we haven't violated this area yet, so no reason to panic. If we do violate it, we're probably going to test these lower areas. And so, of course, you want to sell so that you can buy cheaper. But if we're just right here, it's a fair DCA point, in my opinion. It's a fair one. Do your own risk management, okay? I'm not trading for you. This is just my ideas for myself. As I always say, I'm just talking to myself alone in a room, right? And you guys are just creeping on me, right? Just creeping on me, listening to my listening to my soliloquies over here. But same thing going on over here with Curedo, right? Same exact thing. Same exact setup. And what did we have here? Yep, right. Instead of a straight line, I just drew individual boxes because it corresponds to this curve, right? The pullback on the curve. You never know when you're really going to bust through this curve. But if you get a pullback, you can know on the next peak, the lower high just to get out, right? Take your profit because you bought in here, right? So you can take your profit up here, no problem. You're in profit, right? So as soon as we started to have a pullback, yesterday or the day before, you just sell. No worries. You had a lower high. Just go ahead, sell, right? I don't mean a lower high on these big time frames. I mean a lower high on the small time frames, right? You had a wick here, and then you had a wick down. Okay, just on that second wick down, go ahead and take some profit, right? Because you're still in the squeeze play, and your zone to buy back in is up here. If you end up bullishly breaking out, you can always buy back in, right? But take your profit when you can. It's always a risk when you're buying, and it's always a risk when you're selling. So you can make your own decisions, but that was just my advice. I was going to keep that sell box there, and I kept a buy box down here for a reason. We haven't broken out of this curve yet. Look, we threatened to, but we didn't break out of this curve yet. And what did we do? We're coming back down to test the bottom of the curve. So we're in that buy region. And if we break out of this curve, if we break down, then that's my stop loss because we might be getting into these regions where we can buy back even lower, right? But as long as we stay in this curve, we're starting to squeeze to the upside. And so from my perspective, this is where you want to be loading up. And, this is where you want to be taking your profit on this curve, right? Okay, guys, that was your alpha for the day. Again, Bitcoin is threatening to break down. It has a history of breaking down. It, has a very clear pattern on it. And so I'm not advising you to do anything except, perhaps keep a stop loss in this area, around that $44,000 area. Because if we do lose that one, most likely we're testing our lows, okay? Most likely. Most likely. We've seen it happen before. And while this chart is starting to flip bullish, right? It was bearish and now we're starting to flip bullish. You don't know. You don't know if we could flip bearish again. Hmm? You don't know. So have your stop losses and just pray that this is a low, not a high, so that maybe this is a local high and this is a local low, and then we just curve back up. Okay, I don't see a reason why we should just plummet to hell. There doesn't seem to be any reason in the market that would happen. Stocks don't look like they are about to plummet, so I don't believe that crypto is about to plummet. I think this is just a fake out. This is a retest of support, and that we're going to continue on our way. But take care. Have your stop losses, have your game plan in order. Okay? All right, guys, stay safe and happy trading.